about possible negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. Friends, I decided to bring some clarity on the situation around the peace talks between Ukraine and Russian Federation and the strangeness at first glance on the behavior of the parties in this situation. The first thing I want to say is that both sides, Ukraine and Russia, continue to raise the stakes in the remote negotiation process, taking an increasingly uncompromising stance on political negotiations, but using different strategies. And I want to talk with you about these different strategies which Russia and Ukraine uses in this situation. The president of Ukraine and his team probably believe that the root of all problems, the reason of Russian invasion, or the way to solve them is Vladimir Putin personally. Putin is personally a problem for Ukraine. Therefore, the strategy of Ukraine in recent months is aimed at de-legitimizing Putin, cutting him out from the political negotiation process in order to increase pressure on the Russian president in order to create a crisis within the Russian elites, satisfy the request of the patriotic part of Ukrainian society also justify the absence of attempts to achieve the peace for the third countries which are looking on the Ukrainian situation. Therefore, we see the decree of President of Ukraine on the impossibility of negotiations personally with Putin, and the maximum personalization of evil in the public space in the Ukrainian mass media. The war will end when there is no Putin, Ukraine says. At the same time, negotiations on gas or grain are considered to be technical and in the interest of Ukrainian Western allies, not a political issue for Ukraine at all. Ukraine's allies and their acceptance and support or not of this approach will play the important or even key role in the effectiveness of this strategy. From other side, the Russian Federation believes that Ukraine is politically controlled by the West and is trying to make it and the United States, Great Britain and allies responsible for the continuing of the war. Due to this strategy, Russian officials constantly declare their alleged readiness for negotiations and the readiness to the end of the war, but they put forward conditions for these negotiations, which are unacceptable for Ukraine. For example, recognition of Russian status of the occupied territories of Ukraine. All this is being done both for third countries like China, India, Turkey, South Africa and others, and for political opposition inside of Western partners of Ukraine. Also for internal Russian public opinion, because this is the answer to the question why the war continues. Russia says, if talk ordinary words, we can end the war in Ukraine if the Ukraine West accept the terms of our ultimatum. And negotiations on grain or gas are considered to be a marker of special war operation, so-called, and not a full-fledged war which is going on. Like arrangements in the national interest of Russia. An important role in the effectiveness of this strategy will be played by the factors of the position of the third countries and the internal stability of Ukraine and Western allies. Both strategies, Ukrainian and Russian strategies, are dangerous and fragile, meaning key fights are not come yet, unfortunately. See you, friends. Peace and wellness for all of you. Bye-bye.